Hey guys, what is up? My name is Lannon and welcome to the Jersey Zone. So today I wanted to do my ranking of where I think each team is going to finish in the Central Division. Now I did already do the Canadian Division or the North Division, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave the link in the description down below. But like I said in that video, I don't claim to know everything about every single team, so this is just my opinion. If you guys disagree with me, that's 100% okay. I'm most likely going to be wrong about almost every single prediction in this video, so I'm okay with that. I get that. I just kind of wanted to do this as like a fun little video. So anyways, with that being said, let's get right into it. Now coming in at number 8, last place in the division, I have the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, I had the Chicago Blackhawks at 8 before all of this stuff came out, and what I mean about all this stuff is, you do have Kirby Dach being out from his injury from the World Juniors. That's unfortunate. You have Alex Nylander out for a little bit as well. That's not really a huge deal, I think, for the Hawks. Obviously, it's unfortunate for him himself, but I don't really think that hurts the Hawks a lot. The main thing, the elephant in the room, is the situation with Jonathan Toews. I'm sure you guys have all heard of it already. If you guys haven't, he came out a few days ago saying that he's felt drained and lethargic and that he wouldn't join the Chicago Blackhawks for training camp, and he isn't quite sure when he'll actually return to the Chicago Blackhawks because he isn't really sure what the condition is, so that's really scary. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, and hopefully he can recover from this and come back and start playing hockey again. So I'm wishing him the best. I hope he recovers pretty quickly here. Now with that aside, even before all of that came out, I did have the Chicago Blackhawks in 8th place in the division, just for one reason in particular, and it's mostly their goaltending. I am very intrigued to see how that goaltending duo comes out. You have Malcolm Subban and Colin Delia, and both of them have been backups and not really overly fantastic backups either. So it's going to be interesting to see how that tandem plays out, especially in a year that's going to be so crunched together and you're going to have to play so many games in like just so little of time. So I'm going to be interested to see how that goaltending duo comes out. We saw last year with Columbus how they had two goaltenders who had never become stars before, and they were very, very good actually. I know Elvis Merzlikins wasn't that good when he first started, but once Korpisalo went down, he started playing really, really well, and he kind of found his game. So maybe that'll happen with Delia and Subban. I guess we'll just have to see how that kind of plays out. And then at number 7, we have the Detroit Red Wings. And yep, I do not have them in last place. And the reason that is because I actually kind of like what they did in the offseason. They brought in Stetcher, they brought in Bobby Ryan, and they brought in Thomas Greiss. So I think actually they might do better than they were last season. I mean, they were really, really awful last season. They had like one of the worst seasons ever. So realistically, obviously, they are going to be better. You'd sure hope they would be better. I like the additions they made in the offseason. I like that they replaced Howard with Greiss, and Bernier actually did play pretty well last season, so maybe that'll be a decent tandem for them. Maybe they'll be a little bit better with that goaltending, and they do have a lot of young players on there as well, so we'll kind of have to see, I guess, how that kind of turns out. But I do think they'll be a little bit better this season, and I think they'll be able to at least get 7th place. Really, for me, it is just either Chicago or Detroit. Those can kind of be switched around. Either way, those two are the bottom teams, in my opinion. Next up at number 6, I'm going to have the Dallas Stars. Now, I know that might shock some people because they just finished being in the Stanley Cup Finals, and now they're going to finish out of the playoffs. And the reason I kind of have them like that is I just really don't trust that forward group. They had some issues last season of scoring where they just went like what seemed like a few games where they just really couldn't score, and then they would kind of score a little bit more, and then they kind of fell off again. And that was one thing in the playoffs that they did, is they actually had pretty good scoring for most of those playoffs there. They kind of surprised me a lot how many goals they put up, and I don't know how much I really trust that coming over into this season as well. And another thing that's going to hurt them a lot is both Bishop and Seguin are going to be out to, I think what I was reading, until March. So that's going to really, really hurt the team. We'll see kind of how Hudobin and Ottinger, I believe, is the backup there. We'll see how well they do. I don't really know how much I trust Hudobin as a starter. He played super, super well in the playoffs, but he's never really been a starter, so I guess we'll see if he actually can be a starter. I mean, maybe those playoffs kind of helped him out and kind of becoming maybe a little bit better of a starter, but anyways, we'll have to see how that works out, and we'll have to see how well Ottinger plays as well. And then with that first line, with Seguin being out, I think Pavelski will probably be the number 1 center, so we'll see kind of how well that works. I don't know how much I trust Pavelski being a number 1 center in the league at this point. So the biggest problem with this team is the scoring. I trust the defense. The goaltending, we'll have to kind of see about that one, but that scoring, man, I'm just not sure about. Now, my number 5 pick is the Nashville Predators, and kind of ever since that 2017 run where they went to the Stanley Cup Finals, I feel like they've kind of been decaying a little bit, and they've kind of been slowing down. And once again, like Dallas, I just don't have a ton of confidence in their forward group. I like their defense. I like their goaltending. I think both of them are solid. They have some great players on there. but just I'm not really confident in that forward group. I'm not really confident that they'll get a ton of scoring in, and they didn't really add enough for me to kind of boost my confidence in that scoring. So unfortunately, I have the Nashville Predators at number 5. Now at number 4, in the playoffs, I have the Florida Panthers. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, this one is a little bit more of just hope and wanting the Panthers to actually be in the playoffs. I've kind of been rooting a little bit for the Panthers for a little while now, but I really wasn't rooting for them too hard because they were in the same division as the Leafs, and that's my favorite team. So last year especially, I really wasn't rooting for them because they were really close to taking the Leafs spot in the playoffs. Obviously, that really didn't end up mattering because of how the playoffs turned out, but either way, I've kind of wanted the Panthers to be in the playoffs for a little while now. I've kind of wanted them to have a little bit of success, and this is just a little bit of me kind of projecting and hoping that they actually get into the playoffs here. They lost a couple of key guys. I think Hoffman and Dadonov are going to be kind of huge hits to their forward group, but they did also add Hornqvist and Duclair, which might kind of help them out with losing Hoffman and Dadonov. I don't think that'll help them out completely. I think both Hoffman and Dadonov are kind of better players than those two, but I think that does kind of help kind of bridge the gap a little bit and make it not hurt as much losing those two players. But the main kind of reason why I think the Panthers will actually get better this season is Bobrovsky. He had a awful year last year, and I kind of just think that he is going to be better this year. I'm kind of hoping he's going to be better this year. So that's mostly what I'm hoping for, is that he does get better. And then you do still have Barkov and Huberdeau as well. Those are still really good players as well. So I think as long as, those players play well and Bobrovsky has a good season, if he has a good season, I'm fairly confident they could make the playoffs, but I really do want them to make the playoffs, especially now that they're not in the same division as Toronto. Next, coming in at number 3, I have the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I kind of just like Columbus's kind of makeup of their team. They have a good, solid defense. They're a very hardworking team, and that's kind of what I like a lot about them, is they're really hardworking. They'll kind of get on you and kind of be tough and mean, and they don't really have like a star player, which will kind of hurt them a little bit, but it kind of feels like it kind of makes everyone else in the team chip in a little bit more. Either way, like I was saying, I kind of like the makeup of their team, and they have a really good defense. They have a very solid defense, and they have really good goaltending as well, as we saw last year. Both of those goaltenders are just fantastic. But yeah, either way, I think they're a solid team. I mean, being coached by Tortorella is a huge advantage. I think he's a really good coach. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league, even though he can kind of have his moments with the press. I do think he is a very strong coach. So either way, I think they're a good team, and I think they'll finish probably in the top 3 in the division. At number 2, I have the Carolina Hurricanes. Once again, just a really, really strong team. They're such a fun team. Watching Aho and Svechnikov is just so fun. They're such fun players, and they have a really, really good defense as well. I know a lot of people make fun of the Leafs for the David Aries game and how they just couldn't score against them. But honestly, I put a lot of that in the Carolina defense. Not saying it was just the Carolina defense and it wasn't a little bit of the Leafs' fault as well, but that Carolina defense really was really good against the Leafs in that game, and I do think they have a really good defense there. My main concern with the Carolina roster is that goaltending. I just don't think that goaltending is super strong. I think you have 2 pretty good backup goaltenders in both Mrazek and Reimer. I think they're pretty fine backup goaltenders, but as starters or as 1A, 1Bs, I'm not really too sure about them, even though I do like both goaltenders. I like both Reimer and Mrazek. I really liked Reimer in Toronto. But either way, I do think that's the only kind of hole in that roster is their goaltending, but I think their defense helps them out enough that it makes it not as horrible. So either way, I have Carolina finishing at second. Like I said, they're a super strong team, super fun team. I like them a lot. I love watching them. They're one of the funnest teams to watch. So I like them a lot as a team, and I think they'll finish second. And finally, at number 1, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's not really shocking, and I do kind of think that Tampa might run away with this division. The only issue with that is the fact that Kucherov is going to be on the injured reserve list for the entire regular season. He's not going to be playing for the entire regular season. Now, I know I saw some people on Twitter saying that they did that just so they could be cap compliant and just so they can sign everyone and be under the cap. I think that's ridiculous. There's no way that they're going to put Kucherov, their best player, on the injured reserve for the entire season just so they can be cap compliant. Not only is the team not going to do that, but Kucherov wouldn't want that at all. So there's no way that that is the reasoning. So him being out is the only kind of way that I could see Tampa maybe falling back a little bit. We'll also have to see how well Stamkos is in terms of his health. If he stays healthy, that'll be really important for the Tampa Bay Lightning in keeping that first place. But if he isn't healthy and he starts having injury problems again, that might hurt the Tampa Bay Lightning, and maybe they could actually even fall back to second place. I don't think there is a way that they fall out of the playoffs unless like Vasilevsky gets hurt or something like that. So for me, they're pretty much a guaranteed for first place, but that Kucherov injury does hurt them a lot. We'll see how much that really does affect them. But anyways, that's going to be it for my Central Division predictions. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe for more hockey content. Like I said, I'll be doing the other predictions in future videos right before the season starts. And like I said as well in the last video, I'm going to be doing more hockey content as the season goes along. So look forward to that. Also, make sure to follow me on my Instagram and my Twitter at the Jersey Zone YT on Instagram and at the Jersey Zone on Twitter. Links are in the description down below. But like I said, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.